$186 billion, and then they gave that money to ICE with a $75 billion slush fund so that mass and untrained ICE agents could brutalize everyday Americans and even kill American citizens. The state of our union under Donald Trump's presidency has been a complete and total disaster, and the American people know it. Questions?
Leader Jeffries, do you see any end in sight right now in terms of DHS negotiations?
We've made clear to our Republican colleagues as recently as over the last few days that our value proposition is simple. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them, as was the case with Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. The American people know ICE is out of control. Immigration enforcement in this country should be focused on targeting violent felons who are here illegally. That's what Donald Trump and Republicans promised to do, but that's not what's happening. They're targeting law-abiding immigrant families and American citizens. We believe immigration enforcement should be fair and just and humane. That's what the American people deserve. That's not what they're getting right now. And until that changes, the DHS funding bill is not going to move forward.
Mr. Leader,
Thanks.
Is it poor form for members of your conference not to attend the State of the Union, as Speaker Johnson suggested they'd be turning their back on their constituents? And what would be your message to members of your conference tonight that perhaps are planning some disruptions that we saw during the joint address that the President had earlier?
It's our expectation that there will be some members who attend in silent defiance, and there will be other members who will choose not to attend. And it's up to every individual member to make the decision that makes the most sense for their constituents. But Mike Johnson and House Republicans are not in a position to lecture anyone about decorum. Not with this president, who's completely and totally out of control in every way possible, has broken every norm, is corrupting his office, and is running a Trump cartel. And unfortunately, House Republicans have decided that rather than be a separate and co-equal branch of government, they just run around focusing their attention on being a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. So we definitely aren't going to be lectured by any of our Republican colleagues about anything, anytime, anywhere.
And quickly, Gang of Eight briefing at 3 p.m. on Iran. What are your thoughts again on where this could be possibly leading with potential U.S. military action in Iran?
The American people understand that under no circumstances should the Trump administration get us into another failed foreign forever war when we know the outcome, particularly in the Middle East. It's going to cost American lives. It's not going to lead to any decisive resolution. And it's going to waste taxpayer dollars that should be spent making life better for the American people. Congress needs to act and authorize military force before any military action is taken by Donald Trump and his administration. We'll make that point very clearly in the Gang of Eight briefing that's going to take place in about 30 minutes, and we'll continue to press that case to the American people. Thanks. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You know, given how polarized the nation is, you all are staunchly opposed to the president and his agenda. Republicans support him, you know, emphatically. What's the value of this speech in modern times? Just can you kind of reflect on what this speech provides to the American people, given how polarized the nation is?
Well, Donald Trump should use this opportunity to apologize to the American people for breaking every single promise that he made, particularly his promise to lower the high cost of living on day one. We didn't set that standard. Donald Trump set that standard. And now he's running around the country claiming that the affordability crisis is a hoax. Nobody out there in America believes it's a hoax, because far too many people are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck, cannot thrive, and can barely survive, even though they're working hard and they're playing by the rules. Now, any reasonable president whose numbers are in the basement right now. I mean, these poll numbers for Donald Trump are like an extinction level event for him. He's like minus 40 plus with independents. Latino voters are leaving him. Young voters are leaving him. Working class white voters are leaving him. Independents have abandoned him a long time ago in this presidency. Any normal person would realize we better change course because this is not working. Republicans have lost elections for 14 consecutive months with no sign of improvement. But unfortunately, it doesn't appear that Donald Trump is going to show up learning the lesson of perhaps it's better to actually change course. No, we think he's going to double and triple down on his lies. It's not going to be persuasive to the American people. And they'll probably be worse off, Republicans, after this speech than they were going into it. Thanks. Yep.
Last we heard, you guys sent a new counteroffer to the White House. Did they ever respond to that, or is it radio silence? What's the status of the talk?
There hasn't been any real recent communication with the White House. Our position, as Democrats, continues to be, listen, we need dramatic, meaningful, bold, transformational reform with ICE. The American people know ICE is out of control, and they need to be reined in. Kristi Noem's got to go, but we don't just need a change in personnel, we need a change in policy, and that has to be dramatic. And until Republicans come to that conclusion, then the DHS funding bill is not going to be in a position to move forward.
So with DHS funding lapse at the moment, there's over 40,000 Coast Guard members who are going to go without a paycheck in 3 days, and there are some members of your caucus who also called for FEMA assistance following the blizzards this weekend. And ICE is fully funded through the One Big Beautiful Bill, so is now a time to alleviate the pain on some of these agencies and allow yourselves to push forward with negotiations while these problems are solved and funding is restored?
Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They've been lecturing the American people since November of 2024 that the country was in the midst of some massive MAGA takeover. Clearly that hasn't happened, but it's in their head. And so the notion that when the government either fully shuts down, which took place during the 43-day Trump Republican shutdown in the fall, or the DHS shutdown, is the fault of anyone other than Republicans, nobody's buying it. Just like the American people didn't buy it in the fall. Republicans have made an intentional decision that they would rather shut down FEMA, shut down the Coast Guard, and shut down TSA than actually reform ICE and get them under control so that ICE agents behave like every other law enforcement agency in the country. That's all we're asking for. Conduct yourself in a manner consistent with every other law enforcement agency in the country. And unfortunately, Republicans, at least to date, have been reluctant to do it. But the American people have abandoned them, even on immigration enforcement, where Donald Trump's public approval ratings are way underwater on an issue that he thought was his signature issue. That's gone, just like the rest of his presidency.
Leader Justice, with regard to Iran, is there anything you anticipate that you could hear that would allow the Democrats to support military action in Iran?
The American people are of the view, first of all, let's be clear about Iran. There was a military strike executed by Donald Trump last year. We were told that the nuclear program in Iran had been completely and totally obliterated. Not my words, Donald Trump's words. And so now we're to believe that there's an exigent circumstance where Donald Trump may need to strike militarily in order to prevent Iran, presumably, from achieving its nuclear ambitions. Wait, what happened to Iran's nuclear program being completely and totally obliterated? Donald Trump's words, not our words. Clearly, he was lying to the American people, or he's lying right now. And so there's nothing that he can say to the American people that will have any degree of credibility at this point in time. I'm interested, and I'll listen to what members of his administration are going to say at this secure briefing, but I also plan to press them on the claim that Donald Trump himself made about the Iranian nuclear program and what the great urgency is right now that you've assembled an armada, potentially dragging America into another failed, foreign, forever war that is doomed to hurt the American people, not help us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr.
I mean, they do that.